All right, we're going to talk about demand. We're in chapter 4. Before we start, so let's pretend, I know it's hard to do when I am, sorry about that, when I'm on a computer and you're not sitting in front of me, but we can pretend that I have a pile of random snacks. Like I raided my desk and my file cabinet, and I've got a few granola bars, some carrots, an apple, and an orange. Would you be willing to buy those random snacks for $10? Probably not. How about $5? Maybe. It probably depend on how many granola bars I had. $2? I bet you would. Like, the granola bars are pretty good. And 50 cents? Absolutely. So that just tells us that as prices get lower, the number of items we purchase will be more. Okay? We're going to skip the next example. Oops. Skipping. So let's talk about demand. First of all, explaining the law of demand, and then interpreting a demand schedule, which is a table, and a demand curve, which is a graph. Demand is the primary building block of a market economy. We have demand and supply. Supply we're going to talk about in chapter 5, demand is chapter 4. And they are how a market economy functions, supply and demand. Consumers demand goods and services that maximize their utility. Utility is happiness or satisfaction, so we're maximizing our happiness. And producers supply goods and services that maximize their profit, because that's what producers care about, is profit. So if we go into the law of demand, demand is how much of a product consumers are both willing and able to buy at each price during a given time period, other things constant. It's the amounts purchased per time period. Okay, the law of demand, quantity demanded varies inversely or negatively with price, other things constant. At a higher price, we have a smaller demand. At a lower price, we have a higher demand. I mean, if I just try to draw a very awful graph, I've got money and quantity. If we just talk about my random snacks, when my money was high, you guys didn't want to buy that many. So money high, you don't want to buy that many. So this is, say, well, that's 0. So when money increases, you want to buy very few. As it got cheaper, you were willing to buy a little bit more. Really cheap, buy more, really cheap, buy more, really cheap, buy more. We just made a supply curve of Shellhammer snacks. Let's see. I don't know how to get out of that. Oh, there we go. Demands, wants, and needs. Consumer demand and consumer wants are not the same. Wants are unlimited. You may want a new Mercedes-Benz SL600 Roadster convertible, but the $139,000 price tag is likely beyond your budget. The quantity you demand at that price is 0. Nor is demand the same as you need. You may have outgrown your winter coat and need a new one, but if the price is $200, you may decide your old coat will do for now. If the price drops enough, say to $100, then you become both willing and able to buy a new one. If we just talk about winter coats, in this current winter we're having, the awesome winter of 2016, it has been so warm. So if you pay attention to your surroundings, the winter coat manufacturers are on like fire sale. Prices are dropping. So even though you didn't wear your winter coat very much this year, or you sort of need one, you sort of don't need one, you may buy a winter coat because the price has dropped enough. I know I'm looking for winter coats for my kids for next year because they're really cheap right now. And who knows what next year will bring. If we look at here, demand is not the same as need. If you think about, sorry to the male listeners, if you just think about purses, say that you need a new purse, but you've got a $350 Michael Kors, a $100 Coach, and a $25, I don't know what this one is. So if you just look at purses, like I may really want this purse, But if I just need a purse, I'm probably going to buy something just a little bit less expensive. Or I'll hit the middle, which really isn't the true middle, but I'll hit something in the middle that's more affordable if I want something nicer. But it's, want versus need. I need a new purse. I really want this one, but I'll probably buy that one. Because wants are unlimited, but, needs sort of have to be kept under control. Quantity demanded increases when price falls. So if we think about unlimited wants meeting scarce resources. For example, you can satisfy your hunger with pizza, tacos, burgers, chicken, sandwiches, salads, or hundreds of other foods. Just think about your lunch. Similarly, you can satisfy your desire for warmth in the winter with warmer clothing, a home heating system, a fire, or a trip to Hawaii. So those are all needs. You need to be warm, you need to be fed, but some ways of satisfying your wants are more appealing to you than others. A trip to Hawaii is more fun than warmer clothing. In a world without scarcity, everything would be free, so you would always choose the most attractive alternative. But scarcity is a reality. A trip to Hawaii is considered scarce because not everybody can go. So the degree of scarcity of one good relative to another helps determine each good's relative price. That's why a trip to Hawaii is so expensive, but a sweater is relatively inexpensive. Substitution effect. So what explains the law of demand? It begins with unlimited wants meeting scarce resources. This is actually what we're talking about. I'm sorry. I jumped ahead of myself. So if we talked about being cold and, the sweater versus the trip to Hawaii, or if we talked about being hungry, pizza versus steak, it's a substitution effect. So scarcity is a reality, and the degree of scarcity of one good relative to another helps determine each good's relative price. Substitution effect on a price change. An increase of something or other things constant increases relative price. The opportunity cost increases. So if you think about substitution, we've got, if you're going out to lunch, your budget's a little tight, you can get steak or a Little Caesars pizza. You may pick the pizza if your budget's tight. If it's Monday and you just got your allowance, you may go out for steak or sushi, something that's just a little more expensive. When you're cold, you can buy a new coat, build a fire, or go to Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is very scarce. Building a fire may be less expensive. So some ways of satisfying your wants are more appealing to you than others. That leads into the income effect. Oh gosh, I went the wrong way. There we go. Income effect. Money income is a vocabulary word, and it is just the number of dollars you receive per pay period. If you get paid so much per hour, take out taxes, it's the money that you get per pay period. If the cost of something you purchase, and you purchase it regularly, it's in your budget. If the drop in price if something you purchase decreases in price, that drop in price actually increases your real income. That is your income measured in terms of how much it can buy. Pause there for a second. Just think about gas. Like I filled up my car last week and gas prices are relatively inexpensive right now. I filled up the awesome minivan I own for $26. Like normally it would cost me $50-some to fill up my gas tank. So $26 to fill up my gas tank, if we just do the math there, my real income increased by $24 if it was $50 before. I have $24 that I can spend on anything else because I buy gas every week. It's in my budget. If gas prices go down, my real income goes up. And it's exciting. Price reduction, other things constant, increases the purchasing power of your income. The income effect of a lower price increases your real income and thereby increases your ability to purchase other items like an extra out to eat or, go buy yourself a cute shirt because you spent less money on gas. And it's funny, that's sort of Walmart's, that's what they built their business on, you know, save money, live better. That's Walmart's slogan. It emphasizes the benefits of low prices. Diminishing marginal utility. Remember, utility is happiness. Diminishing, happiness. So marginal, it's like as you do something, your happiness would decrease. Basically, the satisfaction you derive from an additional unit of product is called your marginal utility. It's your happiness. The additional satisfaction you get from a second piece of pizza is your marginal utility of that pizza. Oh, I lost a parenthesis. So the second piece of pizza makes you happier. But the law of diminishing marginal utility says that the third piece of pizza may make you less happy. The fourth piece of pizza would make you less and less happy. You know, the fifth piece of pizza, you're probably feeling half sick. So the law of diminishing marginal utility says that the more of a good an individual consumes, the smaller the marginal utility of each additional unit consumed, the less happy you are. You know, if you're going to see a movie, you watch the movie once, you're happy. You watch the movie a second time, let's talk about the same night, you might still be happy. You watch the movie a third time, you're probably asleep. Your happiness decreases each time. If you've ever wondered why a newspaper stand, you put your money in, you open that up and there's a stack of newspapers, why it's a stack of newspapers? Well, most people only need one newspaper because you read it, you're done. A second newspaper is not going to make you any happier because you've already read it. It hasn't changed. Demand schedule. So demand and demand, which is demand schedule and demand curve. Lower price, greater quantity demanded, other things constant. If prices fall more, people buy more. If prices fall more, people start substituting for other goods. If you just think pizza. So if prices fall on pizza, people might buy more pizza. If prices fall even more on pizza, people may buy pizza and substitute it for other meals that they normally don't. If prices fall even more, the real income of consumers increases because they've now substituted pizza in for other meals, so they have more money because they're not spending as much money on other meals. Consumption increases and the marginal utility of the good declines. You eat that much pizza, you start to feel sick. Demand versus quantity demanded. This is going to come up again in supply, so try to remember. An individual point on the demand curve shows the quantity demanded. Okay, it's a point. When I drew that curve before, remember I did points? Okay, that is the quantity demanded because we've got price. I'm really bad at drawing on this thing. And quantity. This is quantity demanded. And then the demand is when you make a curve out of it. It's the relationship between price and quantity demanded. And then individual demand and market demand. Individual demand, I'm going to zoom in right here. If you just say pizza, I've got individual demand. Hector, at $12, he demands one pizza. Brianna, at $12, she doesn't demand any pizza. And then Chris, at $12, no pizza for Chris either. Do $4. $4, 3 pizzas. $4, 2 pizzas. $4, 1 pizza. So at $4, we would be getting 3, 4, 5, 6 pizzas. $4, 6 pizzas. So individual demand is the demand of an individual consumer. And then market demand is the demand of all of them added up. It's just straight up addition. Nothing crazy about it. Okay, this is our demand schedule. It's like a table. And then the demand curve. This right here is the relationship. Okay, this is where we talked about demand. Okay, it's the relationship between price and quantity. And then, quantity, let's go back. Make sure. Quantity demanded is the point. So if we go here, we have quantity demanded, A, B, C, D, E. And then demand is the entire relationship. We just talked about that one. Okay, there are 2 videos for you to watch. It's in your YouTube playlist, and we're all done with 4.1.